In this session, we have to understand another very important DevOps related tool, that is Microsoft Active Directory Certificate Service. So we will understand some core concept about the SSL certificates. So first of all, we are going to set up the certificate service on our Microsoft Active Directory domain controller. Then we will sign the certificate by using this certificate service, by using the certificate authority. And after signing this certificate, we will understand how to export those certificates in the PFX format. Then, during the creation of these certificates, we will also understand the SAN concept, the subject alternative name, while generating the SSL certificates. After creation of PFX format certificate, we will use a tool, OpenSSL, to extract the public and private keys from the PFX certificate. Then we will create some sample websites on Docker container in Linux. And in front of these websites, we will use Nginx Proxy Manager in Docker container to offload the created SSL certificates for different websites that are hosted on our Linux server. Then we will make some DNS record in the DNS server that is already running in our domain controller to make sure that we can reach our website by fully qualified domain name. Then we will access these websites from a domain joined system that will be Windows 10, and we will validate the SSL certificate. We will also try to access the same websites from a workstation system, and we will try to understand the concept and importance of certificate authority while we are accessing some website with SSL certificate. So let's start. I have this Windows Server 2019, and I created the domain controller services on this server. Here you can see Active Directory, user and computer. All the tools related to Active Directory are installed. DNS is already there. So we have to now add a new role that will help us to create the certificate service. So let's just wait to fetch the inventory by this server manager. Okay, it's done. Now we have to click on add role and feature. Click next. Next. This is the server. Our domain name is devopsvu.local, and this is the IP of the server. So on this server we are going to install the certificate service. So on top you can see here, this is a certificate service. Click next, next, next. So here these are all the roles that are coming under certificate service. So we are right now going to understand only certificate authority that is responsible to sign the certificates. So we will only install this, and I'm selecting if it is mandatory to restart the server after the installation, and I click on the install. The installation of certificate service is completed. So I'm going to close this window. So now here we can see post-deployment configuration, configure Active Directory certificate service on the destination server. We have to open this. So now we have to configure the installed role. Next, so we install this certificate authority only. Next, we will use the enterprise CA. Root CA we have to select. Create a new private key. So the certificate authority also has its own public and private key. So we want to create a new private key. We can also use the existing private key if we already have some certificate signing request. So we just want to create the new private key. So this is the cryptographic related uh, setup, mean what type of encryption method will be used. So just leave as it is. Default settings are good, and allow administrator interaction when the private key is accessible. So this is the detail of the certificate authority, its name, its domain name. So for how long we want to use this certificate authority. After 5 years, its certificate authority on private and public keys will be expired. So I'm just selecting 5 years. So these are some location where it will create its database and log files. This is just a summary and configure. So this is done successfully. Now we can see here under the tools, the certificate authority is installed successfully. We have to open this certificate authority. So this is our certificate authority. So these are some certificate templates by default built in. Whenever we will request some certificate due to some reason it failed, these will be listed here. Pending request, how many certificates so far are issued are listed here. If we want to revoke any certificate, we can do from here. So let's start. We will create a new certificate. So we created this certificate authority to generate the certificate for the website hosting related purpose. So said there are different templates available. So certificate authority is used exactly to generate the certificate, and its main purpose is to do the encryption while having communication to the server from the client side. So these certificates can be used for different purposes. But right now our target is to understand the web server type of certificate. So we have to right click here and manage. And under the manage, we can see all the certificate templates available. So this is the web server related template. So I will right click here and duplicate the template, and here I want to select the certificate authority is of server 2016, and certificate recipient mean which client is going to use it. So we can use anyone, but I am going to use Windows 10. So next thing is, when in the journal we have to give some meaningful name like web server template DevOps view, web template, or we can say web SSL template. Okay, now these are some default values. We mean how long this certificate signed by this template will retain. So we can also customize these when we will sign the certificate. So right now we just have to apply. Okay, so this new template is created here. Now we will go back to certificate template, right click here, and certificate template to issue. So here we created this template, we will add here. So this template is added here. So now we just created this template. The next thing is we have to sign the certificate. So to sign the certificate, we will go to run and we will write MMC. So the MMC console is open. Here we have to go to file, add snap-in. So here we have to select certificates, add computer account, next, and for the local computer, okay. So this is now created. So here under the personal, the certificates is created. So this is the certificate authority that we created, and here we can right click on the certificate, all task, and request a new certificate. Okay, remember whenever you are going to sign any certificate from any certificate authority, it can be GoDaddy or Let's Encrypt or anyone online available. So same like certificate authority, we are going to create on for our own premises local certificate generation purpose. So remember, whenever you need a certificate, you will create a certificate signing request CSR, and that CSR contains all the information about that certificate, which country it belongs to, what are the domain names, everything. So this is possible, and this is also possible that the certificate authority can generate CSR on behalf of you, and it will create a public and private key at the same time. So here I am going to create a new certificate. Next, next. So here I can see only 4 templates. So new template that I created is not listed here. So there is a catch. Mean these templates have some special permissions that are not given to the newly created template. So just look to directory email replication. Okay, so we will compare in the template and manage. So we have to open this directory email replication that we saw was listed there, and open the security. So in the security tab, we can see these are all the groups that are added here. That's why this template was reflected there. But when I open this web SSL template, so in the security, those groups are missing. So let me compare these permissions one by one, and we will allocate the same security. So first of all, enterprise read-only domain controller. So I will the security add enterprise domain controller read-only. I'm adding here, and I'm just giving the full permission. Let's compare the second one. It's domain admins and domain controllers. So domain admins is there. I will give the full permission, and domain controllers I will add. There is also enterprise admin. I'm giving full permission, and there is one more left. Enterprise domain controllers and enterprise admins. So enterprise domain controller and enterprise admins is there. Enterprise domain controller. Enterprise admins. Okay, so permissions are, I think, is good now. Just going to close this window, and we will generate the certificate again. Request a new certificate. Next. Enroll, and now we can see this web SSL template is listed here. Okay, so we will select this and click on more information is required to enroll the certificate by using this template. So I click here, and these are some settings that we are using to generate the CSR. So we have to define here full domain name. So for example, I am going to generate this certificate for, like, I can say test SSL dot DevOps view dot local. Okay, I added here. Sorry, it is the common name. The common name we have to give the domain name, and then we can also define the country from where, what country you are using. It will be, these are all settings will be reflected in your certificate. I'm not going to set these values, but for whenever you are looking the certificate from your any SSL sign SSL based website, you can see all these settings. I will show you. So right now this is mandatory, and this DNS name. So this certificate will work for this domain. So I have to add here the test SSL dot devopsvu.local, and this certificate we can use for multiple domains, just like I want to use this for www.example.com, app1.mydomain.net. So I just added multiple names, DNS names. So these all fully qualified domain names you can use to host any website by using this SSL certificate. So this SSL certificate we can use for all these fully qualified domain names. So this is the concept of SAN, subject alternative name. So when we are giving this common name, this is the main domain, and we also added additional domain with this. And here in general, in extension, private key, so key option, you have to make private key exportable. You have to select this, and these are all the settings that are coming with the template we exported. And we can define here this is the certificate authority we are using. We can have multiple certificate authorities, but right now we have only one. And we can define its expiration time. The expiration time we already defined in the template. So it was 2 years. So here I'm just going to apply. OK. Enroll. So this certificate is now signed. You can see here this certificate listed here, and if we go in the certificate authority, in the issued certificate, we can see this certificate was issued, and you see that it's 2 years. So this expiration time is defined in the template. Okay, now we have this certificate. So we will go to this our MMC console, right click on the certificate, all task, and export. Next, here, so here we have to select yes, export the private key. This is good, just next. And here we must have to select some password because PFX file is password protected. So I am going to set some password. Next, I will create file on the desktop. I can say test SSL. Next, finish. and it's exported. So if I want to save this console, I can save, and otherwise I need to again open the console and add the snap-ins. I'm closing this. Now we are done with our test SSL certificate. This is the PFX file. So next we have to export the private and public keys from this PFX file. So I will take this file into my Linux machine, where by default Linux is coming with the OpenSSL. Otherwise you can install OpenSSL utility in your Windows machine and you can use the same commands. Now I created this PFX certificate, and now I copy that test SSL PFX file in Linux machine. So now we have to use OpenSSL command to extract the public and private key from this PFX file. So for that reason, in this video description, I gave all the details how we did this whole activities in the Windows domain controller to export the certificate. And these are the commands that we are going to extract the public and private keys. So these commands are given in the video description. So this OpenSSL command, here we have to give your test SSL PFX file, and it will create the private key, extract the private key. So it's asking for the password that is set on the PFX file. Now it's again asking for new password that will be applied on the private key, because whenever you are exporting the PFX file private key, it will impose the password on the private key. So now private key is exported, but it's password protected. So next command that we are going to use will create the certificate file. This command test SSL PFX, and it will extract the certificate. So it is asking for the password that is on PFX file. So certificate file is extracted. So on certificate file, it will not definitely implement any apply any password protection. Next command is used to remove the password from the private key we extracted. So here it is asking to give the name of the private key that is password protected, and it will create a new file with the name no password. So it will ask for the password that I applied on the private key while I was extracting it. Now you can see we have PFX file. This is password protected private key. This is a private key without password protection, and this is the certificate file. Now we will use this private key and certificate file to use on Nginx reverse proxy to offload the SSL certificates. Okay, now those extracted file I downloaded on my Windows machine, and here is a certificate file. So I want to show you here. So this is the common name I will give to this certificate, and in the details, if you go down, there is subject alternative name SAN, and you can see This certificate will work for all these domain names. Okay, so we validated this, our certificate is good, our private key we have. Now I will set up the two websites, three websites, and then I will set up a Docker container, Nginx reverse proxy, and then we will use these certificates inside that reverse proxy. So now on this Linux machine, I have Docker installed. So I will run some containers like I will run first container like website 1, and I will use Nginx image, and I will export forward like 8181 to 80. Similarly, I will run another website with the HTTPD image. This is the Apache image. Sorry, the port is same. You have to change the port and website 2. So now we have two containers running. So think like these are our two websites. And now Docker images, I have this Nginx Proxy Manager. So let me just recall the command. So this command, this Nginx Proxy Manager, I already downloaded, and I am using Docker run -d in the background. Port 8181 is for its administration web interface. For port 80, it will accept the request of from outside on port 80, and port 443 for the SSL certificate. And I'm just creating a volume. I will mount this volume inside this container, and this is the name of the image. Now Docker PS, you can see the Nginx Proxy Manager is up. So now I will open in my browser. The IP of the server is this, and in my browser on port 81, it will give us the very first default login page with some default username and password of Nginx Proxy Manager. Okay, so I provide the default username and password, and default password is change me. You can see in the documentation of Nginx Proxy Manager. I am logged in with the default admin user. So here I will give my own admin account, any email you can give. And it will ask for the default password and the new password. I think password is wrong. Okay, I set the password. Now in this reverse proxy, first of all, we have to go SSL certificate, add certificate, custom. So here we will define the domain, the certificate that we created, the public and private key. So this certificate is for example test SSL. So here we have to give the SSL certificate I created. So here is the certificate file. Sorry, this is a private key without password, and here we have to give the certificate file. Okay, this is created. You can see this certificate expiry time. It is inactive because so far we have not used this certificate for any website. Now in the host, proxy host, we have to add the domain name that will mean this reverse proxy will receive the request on this domain name, and it will be forwarded to our local host on port 8181 and on port 8181 I created the Nginx container. So Nginx default page will be loaded. I use the host IP. You can also use the container IP directly if you use our container host name, if you use the Docker Compose. So that is a different concept. I just quickly ran the containers to show you the this website and Nginx reverse proxy. So I am using this IP, but professionally you should use here the container name, and that will only be resolvable when you will use the Docker Compose. So this domain will try to hit this container on the same host, and in the SSL certificate I will select this SSL certificate. I will enable all these checklist. Force SSL mean whenever HTTP request will come on port 80 on Nginx reverse proxy for this domain, it will automatically switch the website to HTTPS. Saving this. So this is done now. So now I will make an entry in the DNS for this domain. So let me go to the domain controller. Here in the server manager, DNS, forward lookup zone, and in this forward lookup zone I will make an A record test SSL, and the server IP is 133, that is hosting this test SSL dev ops vu.local. Okay. I also created some other domains, but first of all we will test this one. The other domain names that are associated with these certificates, the subject alternative name, it's example.com and mydomain.net. So I will create on this server another zone, example.com, and the other one is mydomain.net. And here under these relevant domains, I will create the A record app1 mydomain.net. The server IP is 159.133, that is hosting my website. And the example.com, it's www. So we have done our DNS record updation. So this domain, these three domains are resolvable from this DNS server. Okay, now this is my Windows 10 machine, and this is a domain joined machine, and I log in on this Windows 10 with the domain user. So on the domain controller, let me just quickly show you. I created a domain user with the name Asim, and I just logged in on this Windows 10 machine with this user Asim. So now, if I ping app1 mydomain.com, you can see its name to IP is resolving. Similarly, if I ping example.com, the DNS is resolving this. And if I do test SSL DevOps local, it's also resolving. So now I will try to open the this one, this website, the test SSL DevOps local, and on backend we know this is the Nginx server running. So test SSL DevOps local. It should open the Nginx default web page. Okay, great. This is open, and here you can see it's automatically routed to HTTPS, and the certificate is trusted. So let me show you the certificate. The certificate you see is signed by the certificate authority. The common name is this one, and this is the CA. So if the same domain test SSL DevOps view, if I open from my local Windows that is not part of this domain, test SSL DevOps vu.local. So what I did to make this resolvable in the host file, I made this entry so that because by default my DNS is pointing to internet, so to locally resolve this, I made this entry because this system is not part of domain. So here you see it's giving us the error, the certificate is not signed, because this browser don't know about the certificate authority we created in the domain controller. So how does the Windows 10 domain joined system knows about the certificate authority? Because the certificate authority is running on the domain controller, and all the domain joined system knows its certificate authority. That's why we have not got this error here. So here it's saying this is a risky website, certificate is not signed. Let me add in the exception. Now it's open, but here I show you about this certificate information. So the certificate you can see is DevOps VU local, and this is the certificate authority. So what we understand, the local certificate authority is only reachable on the domain connected system. So how does our normal website, what Google or normal websites we are opening on internet, So our browser knows the signing authority who signs the certificate. But in this case, this is our local certificate authority. That's why it gave us the error. Okay, so this concept is clear. Now, another thing we have to test the other domain that we have, the example.com. So what I will do first, I will in reverse proxy, I will create another proxy host, example.com, and again the IP I will use, and the port I set to 8282. This is, 8282 I ran the container with Apache. So for the SSL, again I will enable the SSL, same SSL I am using, what I added, and let me go to domain join system, and here www.example.com. So you can see the example.com is open, and the port I use in the reverse proxy, it was pointing to Apache, and this is a default output of the Apache page. So it's mean this certificate is also validated by our certificate authority, because the certificate that we are using was generated for this domain too. So this is the same certificate that I showed you for this first domain. Okay, now if I open the same example.com, so here it's giving me, I believe I added the exception before I was doing some testing. Yes, so it gave us the proxy exception, the SSL exception I added, and now it's working. So this certificate is also not the same certificate, but its CA is missing. Okay, now we can also test this certificate is usable for all the CN, the app1.mydomain.com. So let me just test this too quickly. And let me just route to Nginx. We just want to test the domain. So SSL, same SSL, I'm going to attach. And if I open this here, it will give me the exception. So it's working, but with exception. But the same thing if I open under the domain joint system, so this page is also open, but without exception. Now this SAN, all the SANs we tested. If I use the same certificate for a domain that is not defined in the certificate, what will happen? For example, www.testdomain.com, or for example, I can do app2 dot my domain. .NET. Okay, and I will route to Nginx, and I will use the same certificate. So this app2 DNS is record is not added. Let me just quickly add the DNS record. Okay, this record is added. Now in this machine, on domain join machine, I will try to first of all resolve the app2. Okay, it's resolving, and I will try to open app2. But this time it gave me the error. Why? Because this certificate that I associated with this domain is not created for this domain name for app2. So it's an exception. So we need to add this certificate as an exception, then it will work. So this is the concept of SAN. So in this whole exercise, we understand all these concepts in very detail that I so these all concepts mean certificate service we set up, we create, sign the new certificate, we export PFX, we understand SAN concept. With OpenSSL, we created, extracted the public private keys on Docker container, we ran the website, we use the Nginx reverse proxy to offload the SSL, we created a DNS record, and we test with domain joint system who knows about the certificate authority already, and the workstation machine, workgroup machines that don't know about the certificate authority. So this was, we tested each and everything in detail. So if you have any question, you can leave me in the comment. Thank you.